Kei te tiamana, George, tēnā koe, rauranga tira mai noho nei, tēnā koutou, I muri nei, e mihi nei ki te ware arohe, māngare o tāhuhu, tēnā koutou mo te tautoko mai, o tira huri noa, morena ata Māori. I'm very pleased to be able to present before the committee this morning on, and we're presenting the Māori language policy for adoption and also the Māori language implementation plan. So the purpose of the Māori language policy is to direct and guide the quality, clarity and consistency of the use of the Māori language in Auckland Council. We also have developed a 3-year implementation plan which is attached to the documents. And so we're leaving it open to the board now for to the committee for questions.
So, thank you. Are there any questions? Councillor Filipaina.
Just one question in regards to the app that was mentioned at the joint meeting between Independent Māori Statutory Board and the governing body. Just an update as to when that app will be available.
Thank you, Councillor Filipaina. Through you, Chair, the app was presented at the governing body meeting where we provided also a progress report to the governing body on the development of the reo policy. The app, I believe, is going to be released at the end of this month. It's a learning application that will be made available not only to council but to the wider communities to be able to assist everyone with the pronunciation and the use of the Māori language, different place names throughout Auckland.
Cool. Thank you. Mr. Wilcox.
More of a comment, Chair. Should I wait till later?
Oh, no, you can. We're kind of. I don't think it's going to be a vigorous debate this
I thought you asked me for a prayer. Mihi ana kia kōru e haro mai ana e kaue mai ana I te kaupapa nei. And I'd just like to tautoko the work that's been done. It's been a long time coming, and I'm sure many councillors around this table have kind of grown a little bit weary of my harping on about the reo. So I'm really glad to see it come before us. Language is one of the things that defines us as people, as humans. It's the difference between us and the animals who communicate differently and definitely in not the way that we do. And the reo is a taonga. And I think this policy and the implementation plan only formalise what we have already been doing. I refer to the libraries where you go into every library and it's all in the reo and in English. And the same with what's happened at a higher level with our international treaties. I'm thinking particularly of the tripartite agreement with Guangzhou and Los Angeles, which is in the 3 languages of English, Māori and Mandarin. So it all aligns as well with the Māori Language Act. So I'm really happy to see this come before the committee today, before the Regional Policy and Strategy Committee, and thank you for that. And e mihi ana kia kōrua. E mohi ana au e te taumahatanga o te wāra aine, engari e mihi ana kia kōrua. Tēnā koe.
Thank you. Councillor Webster.
Yes, very quickly, happy to support this, but over the app, because we mentioned it at a Kaipara Harbour meeting in Whangarei, and they were all very interested. I do hope we're going to click the ticket on this. You know, this is an alternative to rate funding, and they were all very, very, very interested. So, and I would say that through Local Government New Zealand and others, there will be. I hope we've got some sort of trade, intellectual property on this, because I tell you what, they would have signed a cheque on the dot. So I'm just flagging that for what it's worth.
Finance chair kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Count those coffers, full of those coffers. Councillor Casey.
I was serious, actually.
I had a question about the timelines. I'm looking at just at random at the indicators and targets, and I can't make up my mind when things are going to happen, because they're in a time frame between 2016 to 2019. I'll take one example, the use of Maori translations for governing body meetings or committee meetings like this one. So it says it's going to happen, for me, this is the way I'm reading this, it's going to happen sometime between 2016 to 19. Can we be more specific about when things are going to happen?
Thank you, Councillor Casey. On the recommendations under C, there's a note that there's some further work to be done on the implementation plan. So once we get around the table with those, that will be that we can land those and affirm those, then we can come back.
So there'll be like annual targets instead of three-year targets?
At this stage, we're proposing it'll be over a 3-year period.
That's kind of a long time, though.
Oh, kia ora, if I could add further to that. So we're proposing a 3-year Māori language program, but it will get annualised and it will form the part of the Te Tō Takatini portfolio of work. So we'll be able to report directly on an annual basis of the program. So beyond today, we'll start to look at how we operationalise the implementation plan. There's a number of threads reaching across the organisation in terms of our comms and engagement department. Auckland Transport, for example, are leading the regional signage program. But the ability to be able to pull that all together in a cohesive program and report back to committee on a regular basis. So a form part of Te Tō Takatini reporting back to Finance and Performance Committee. It also get reported on a regular basis to the Joint Governing Body IMSB meeting as well. So it just comes under that portfolio of work.
So you will have annual targets to meet?
Yes.
That's good.
Okay, thank you. Without Councillor Watson.
Yeah, thanks very much. Just a question about the points and implementation. You may have already referred to that, but just in terms of the overall capex cost of being absorbed into that, point 22, and other specific requirements are just going to come through normal budget processes, including the annual plan and long-term plan. Do we have any kind of notion as to what indicative cost as to what the full implementation might run out to, or on an annual basis, or something just a little bit more specific?
Certainly as part of our Te Tō Takatini reporting, that includes the annual budget, and most of the budgets for implementation are sitting across different departments and form part of their work. The Te Tō Takatini reporting is able to then consolidate that, so you get an overall figure. We're working through the detail for this current financial year to be able to report back on that. So it's linked into the annual plan LTP processes. What we won't be seeking is any additional funding at this stage, as it's already built in as part of the current LTP and annual plan.
Thank you. Well, with that, I'll put the motion.
Hang on.
Sorry.
Can we discuss the motion now? We'll move past question time.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Chairman, I in regard to the previous item and what we resolved there in a spirit of consensus, despite some of us are very inclined to move for a moratorium on glyphosate spraying in public places now, I think we did the right thing in recommending it a policy or review or whatever the implementation, to the incoming council. Our mandate, members, is just about run out. Our contract is nearly up. And I do not think this is a time to bring in a brand new policy at this stage of the political term. Moreover, a policy which will last for the whole duration of the next political term. I don't think it's fair, and I don't think it's good practice. Now, this policy stands on its merits, and I believe it should be passed to the incoming council to consider. And that, therefore, Mr. Chairman, I, consistent with your own approach in significantly changing the recommendations of the previous item we dealt with, I would like to move that we recommend the Maori language policy as attached to the agenda, recommend we adopt the Maori language implementation plan 2016-2019 to the people who will be here to implement it for that time. Some of us will not be, and I think it's only fair that we manage this in this way. And so I urge you, Mr Chairman, to accept my modification, amendment, if you like, of your recommendations so that it goes to the new council with a fresh mandate to consider and implement.
Well, what you're saying there, Councillor Lee, that's a kind of a procedural motion that you're recommending that this matter lie on the table to the next council. Now,
Well, we could go further than that if we believe in it, and I'm sure members will, that they'll recommend it to the next council, but it's not for us to sign it off.
I'll ask if there is a seconder to what your procedural motion is.
I'm happy to second it.
Okay, there's a procedural motion on the floor that this matter lie on the table to the next council. I'll put that motion. Division. Okay. In actual fact, you should have moved the motion.
It's just being consistent, Mr. Chairman.
No, you should have moved the motion the minute you started speaking, but I'll still accept it.
That's not being consistent.
Well, what I said was to amend it, not to...
No, order.
Okay.
There's no more
Can't amend it. It's a direct opposition, isn't it?
It's not an opposition.
Saying adopt it, don't adopt it.
Order. We're just getting it down.
Mr. Chairman, is this not?
Well, I actually said recommend it to the next council, but whatever.
No, it's a procedural motion that the matter lie on the table to the next council. You know the implications, so...
We might as well all pack up and go home. If
Don't do anything. It's going to be good. No meetings.
Should we all pack up and go home?
It's going to be good.
All right, yep.
Okay, so by division, the procedural motion to lie on the table into the next term of council. Councillor Nye.
Aye.
Councillor Brewer.
Or
Councillor Casey.
No.
Councillor Cooper. Councillor Darby.
No.
Councillor Filipina.
Against.
Councillor Fletcher.
Against.
Deputy Mayor Hulk.
No.
Councillor Lee.
Aye.
Councillor Penrose.
Aye.
Councillor Stewart.
Or
Councillor Walker.
Aye.
Councillor Watson.
Yes.
Councillor Webster.
no.
Member Wilcox.
No.
Chair Wood.
No.
Lost.
They've lost 10-6, so the motion, or 10-6, the motion is lost. So are there any other speakers? Councillor Darby.
Sorry, can we just, I think Rama has got the local board feedback, which I was going to be tabled here. I think it's important because boards have input on policies, plans, etc. So I think before we likely confirm it, it would be good to hear on what the local board feedback is.
Okay, if you want to question there.
So by and large, there was very positive feedback by the local boards for the policy itself, but we did receive a range of comments, and some of the comments was around a couple of boards wondering what was the relevance of the policy to the communities they represent, and whereas the other boards were more focused on how would the policy and what support they would have to implement the policy in their local board area. This is not a blanket approach. It's all around. We're open to supporting the boards with giving effect to the policy in their local board area.
So just to follow up, generally following the feedback from the local boards, they have the opportunity to input into policy. Were there any specific amendments to the draft policy?
No.
Did they ask for specific amendments, or was it a general question of how do we implement it, as you just outlined?
The questions we received through you, Mr. Chair, was all around the implementation.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, with that, I'll put the motion.
Can I ask you another question, Mr. Chairman?